Good morning slash afternoon slash evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today I stand before you to declare something that may seem obvious, yet is so often misunderstood. Life is not a game. It is not a playground for the careless. It is not a competition to be won at the expense of integrity. It is not a joystick-controlled illusion where mistakes can be undone with a reset. Life is real. It is sacred. It is divine. Have you ever noticed how casually we speak about life? We throw around phrases like "I'll do it later," "there's always tomorrow," or "someday I'll get serious." We live as if we're invincible, as if life is an endless loop with infinite chances. But let me tell you something that may strike deep: you don't get extra lives. This is not a rehearsal. This is not a simulation. You will not wake up in another version of yourself with another chance to fix what you neglected, ignore what you should have honored, or relive what you wasted. Life gives you one pass, one breath at a time, one moment at a time, and once it's spent, it is gone. You cannot recycle time, you cannot borrow it, and no matter how wealthy, powerful, or influential you become, you cannot purchase a second more than what was given. We live in a culture that treats life like a video game. When we mess up, we think we can just restart. When we fall behind, we think we can just catch up later. When we ignore our calling, we comfort ourselves with the illusion that the opportunity will still be there when we're finally ready. But life is not waiting for your convenience. Time does not ask if you're prepared, and destiny does not pause until you're comfortable. Life moves, and you either move with it, or you stay behind and become a prisoner of regret. The saddest people are not always those who failed. They are often the ones who never tried. Not because they couldn't, but because they thought they had time. They thought they had another year, another season, another someday. They kept pushing dreams into the future, burying passions under procrastination, and excusing their purpose with fear. But the calendar doesn't stop. The clock doesn't freeze. And one day they look back and realize they were never short on time, they were short on urgency. You don't get extra lives, which means what you do with this one truly matters. Every second is sacred. Every decision, every relationship, every step you take is a thread in the fabric of your destiny. And the danger is not in doing the wrong thing now and then. The real danger is living carelessly, constantly distracted, numb to time, addicted to ease, while the life you were meant to live slips away quietly and unnoticed. There is something tragic about people who are alive biologically, but dead intentionally. They wake up, but they're not awake. They breathe, but they're not alive. They move, but they have no direction. They exist, but they don't live. And it's not because they don't want more, it's because they don't believe the cost of delay is high. But it is. And every day lived without purpose is a silent theft of your own legacy. Let me ask you something. If your life ended today, would the world be different because you lived? Would someone be impacted by your love, your wisdom, your gift, your courage? Or would your potential be buried with you, unspoken, unfulfilled, unrealized? You were not born to coast through life. You were not created to drift. You were designed for something divine, and every moment you're alive is proof that your assignment is not yet complete. You don't get extra lives, but you do have this one, and that makes it priceless. The mere fact that you're here, hearing these words, breathing this air, means there is still time to make it count. But not forever. So take responsibility. Be urgent with your time. Be ruthless with your distractions. Be deliberate with your relationships. Don't waste your energy on things that steal your focus. Don't live for applause. Don't wait for permission. Don't postpone purpose, because your life is not a game. And in this one life you've been given, mediocrity is a choice and excellence is a decision. You don't get extra lives. So stop living like you do. So many people wake up every day chasing achievements, chasing money, chasing likes, chasing applause. They have mistaken visibility for value and attention for purpose. In their minds, success is measured in numbers, the size of the house, the digits in the bank, the followers on a screen. They live life like a scoreboard, constantly checking who's ahead and who's behind. But life is not a competition to see who collects the most trophies. Purpose is not about points, it's about responsibility. You were not born to chase applause, you were born to fulfill an assignment. Your existence is not a coincidence. You are here by design. You were placed on this earth at this exact time in history for a reason bigger than yourself. But here's the truth most people don't want to face. Purpose is not glamorous. Purpose doesn't always get claps. Purpose doesn't always trend. It isn't always loud, but it is always necessary. You see, the reason many people avoid their true purpose is because purpose demands sacrifice. It demands discipline. It demands that you put away the ego and pick up the mission, and missions don't always feel good. They don't always look popular, but they are always essential. The person who knows their purpose doesn't need to be seen, they need to be effective. They don't waste time proving their worth, they spend their time producing fruit. Purpose isn't something you invent, it's something you discover. It's already in you, planted like a seed, waiting to be unlocked. You don't get to decide what your purpose is. You get to uncover what was already assigned to you. That's why chasing every trend won't lead you to fulfillment. Trends change, but purpose is eternal. The danger of pursuing a high score is that it's often based on someone else's standard. But when you live for purpose, you don't need external validation. You answer to something higher. We've raised a generation to think the goal of life is to be successful, but success without purpose is just empty noise. You can win the game and still lose your soul. You can be celebrated and still feel hollow. Because success is what people see, but purpose is what only you can feel. It's what wakes you up in the middle of the night. It's what pulls at your heart when you're silent. It's what won't leave you alone no matter how far you run. Some people go their entire lives chasing the wrong thing. They master careers they hate. They climb ladders that lead to nowhere. They gain the world but lose themselves. And when it's all said and done, they don't look back and regret that they didn't make more money, they regret that they didn't live more meaningfully. Purpose is not about being impressive, it's about being impactful. It's not about how much you gain, it's about how much you give. And this is why purpose is not light, it's weighty. Because when you discover it, it comes with responsibility. You are responsible for the gift in you. You are responsible for the truth you carry. You are responsible for the calling on your life. You don't get to ignore it just because it's inconvenient. You don't get to bury it just because it's uncomfortable. The world needs what you've been given. Someone's healing is tied to your obedience. Someone's direction is tied to your courage. Someone's hope is tied to your voice. You are not here to be entertained. You are not here to waste time. You are not here to just consume, you are here to contribute. And the moment you treat purpose like an option, you forfeit the impact your life was meant to make. Don't chase attention, chase assignment. Don't aim to be liked, aim to be useful, because applause fades. Trophies tarnish, but purpose lasts. It leaves a mark long after you're gone. You were not born to play games. You were born to change something. You were born to build something that outlives you. That is the weight of purpose, and that is your responsibility. So many people wake up every day chasing achievements, chasing money, chasing likes, chasing applause. They have mistaken visibility for value and attention for purpose. In their minds, success is measured in numbers, the size of the house, the digits in the bank, the followers on a screen. They live life like a scoreboard, constantly checking who's ahead and who's behind. But life is not a competition to see who collects the most trophies. Purpose is not about points, it's about responsibility. One of the most dangerous lies we've been taught is that life is a race against other people. From the moment we're children, we're ranked, measured, compared. Be better than him. Why can't you be more like her? Look what they've achieved, what have you done? And so, without realizing it, we step into adulthood with a toxic mindset. The belief that for me to win, someone else has to lose. But life was never meant to be lived in competition with others. You were never designed to be someone else's replica. You were created as an original with a lane of your own. You don't need to outshine others, you need to become who you were created to be. The truth is, when you live with comparison, you cancel your own assignment. You dilute your own identity trying to mimic someone else's. You don't compete, you complete. You complete your purpose, your calling, your mission. The only person you should be trying to outgrow is the version of you from yesterday. It is a trap to look to your left and right, measuring your pace against someone else's progress. They're not running your race. They haven't fought your battles. They don't carry your assignment. Their timeline was never meant to match yours. But it's hard to see this when the world keeps selling us the illusion of comparison. Social media has become a highlight reel of success, but not of sacrifice. We see the victory, but not the valleys. We see the celebration, not the silence, the tears, the failures that shaped it. And if we're not careful, we will envy someone else's results without understanding their process, or worse, without even understanding our own. This is why some people live frustrated, even when they're doing well. It's not because they're failing. It's because they've confused progress with position. You're growing, but you think you're losing because someone else is ahead. But ahead in what? According to who? You weren't born to chase their finish line, you were born to discover your own. And this is the tragedy of competition. It distracts you from your own purpose. When your eyes are on someone else, your focus leaves your assignment. You miss your season, your ideas, your breakthroughs because your energy is consumed watching someone else walk in their moment. Jealousy is a signal that you've lost sight of your own value. Envy is a symptom of distance from your own mission. But when you realize that life is about completing, everything changes. You stop rushing, you stop comparing, you stop striving to prove something. Instead, you start building, you start healing, you start aligning your life with something deeper than applause, something eternal. You recognize that there's enough purpose in the world for everyone to matter, that someone else's success doesn't threaten yours. Their gift doesn't cancel yours. Their rise doesn't mean your fall. In fact, some of the greatest breakthroughs you'll ever have will come through collaboration, not competition. You were never meant to do life alone. You were never meant to isolate yourself in fear of being overshadowed. Some doors don't open until you serve someone else's vision. Some seasons require you to be a supporter before you become a leader. But if you're so obsessed with competing, you'll miss the power of completing each other. Think about it. Even your body is made of different parts. The hand is not jealous of the eye. The foot doesn't compete with the heart. They serve different functions, but together they create a whole. The same is true of humanity. We are wired for interdependence, not rivalry. We each carry something the other doesn't. When we compete, we divide. When we complete, we multiply. And this is the call. Stop running someone else's race. Stop copying someone else's voice. Stop trying to be louder, faster, more impressive. Be authentic. Be faithful. Be focused. Because your identity is not in being better, it's in being true. And when you are true to who you are, you unlock grace, clarity, and impact that no amount of competition could ever produce. There is no peace in pretending. There is no rest in rivalry. But there is power and purpose in knowing who you are and who you are not. You don't need to race anyone. You just need to become the person you were born to be. That's where your freedom lies. That's where your destiny begins. Every day we stand at invisible crossroads, sometimes a dozen before breakfast. We decide what to say, where to look, how to treat the stranger who brings the coffee. We decide whether to study or scroll, forgive or rehearse an offense, confront the lie or let it slide. And each decision, no matter how private, no matter how silent, releases a ripple that keeps moving long after the moment feels finished. Life keeps a ledger. It records not only actions but intentions, not only deeds but delays, and it never misplaces an entry. In a world that promises endless undos and digital erasers, we are tempted to believe reality works the same way. It does not. There is no reset button. Modern culture markets convenience as consequence, proof. Delete the post, close the tab, wipe the credit card debt with another card, end one relationship and swipe into the next. But while technology may mask the bruise, it cannot heal the bone. The conversation you avoided because it was uncomfortable still festers in the heart you wounded. The shortcut you took to inflate numbers still hollows out your integrity. The compromise you justified just this once writes its own future chapter, and you will meet it again when you are least prepared. Choice is seed, consequence is harvest. No farmer is shocked when wheat appears where wheat was sown. Likewise, the life you wake up to tomorrow is the crop you planted today. This truth is not meant to threaten, it is meant to awaken. Every consequence hides an invitation to wisdom. Touch a hot stove once, you learn respect for fire. Spend time with people who gossip, you learn how quickly poison spreads. Break a promise to a child and watch trust evaporate. You will never again doubt the weight of your word. If the universe allowed resets, we would repeat folly without discomfort, and wisdom would have no classroom. Pain is not the enemy of destiny, careless repetition is. Those who refuse to connect choices with outcomes remain perpetual beginners, trapped in cycles they pretend are bad luck. Consider the young professional so eager to impress that she pads her resume. She lands the role, celebrates online fame, and believes the risk is behind her, until the first real challenge exposes the gap between image and substance. Now the consequence is bigger than embarrassment, credibility. Fractures, teams suffer, doors close that may never reopen. Or the father who keeps postponing dinner with his children, relying on the myth of quality time someday. Years later, he discovers relationships operate on compound interest. Tiny investments made early multiply affection. Tiny neglect accumulate an overdraft of resentment. No weekend trip can purchase what daily presence failed to deposit. Yet the same principle that warns also empowers. Every wise choice carries compound favor. Say no to the shortcut, and you strengthen muscles that will hold heavier assignments. Turn off the screen to listen fully, and you train your mind for focus in an age starving for attention. Honor your word in small agreements, and you forge a reputation that will out-negotiate skills you have yet to learn. The miracle is not only that consequences exist, but that they are predictable allies once we steward them. Living with conviction is not restrictive. It is profoundly liberating because it frees you from the exhausting cost of constant repair. Some worry that this principle leaves no room for grace, but grace is not a cosmic bleach that erases responsibility. It is power to choose differently while time remains. A bad chapter need not become a final title. You cannot reset, but you can repent, literally rethink, and plant a new field beside the old one. The earlier crop will still mature, but a better harvest will follow if you persist. Regret handled wisely becomes fertilizer for humility, and humility grows fruit that pride could never bear. That is why the most radiant individuals you meet are rarely those with flawless histories. They are people who confronted consequence honestly, refused self-pity, and leveraged the lesson into purpose. So before you speak, remember, words are architects, they construct worlds you must later inhabit. Before you click send, recall, data is durable, screenshots outlive apologies. Before you compromise your ethics for a fleeting win, ask, will this decision enlarge my future or mortgage it? Time will answer with unflinching accuracy. Destiny is not determined by chance or favor, but by thousands of small, consistent choices stacking like bricks into a wall that either protects your calling or imprisons it. You cannot pause the clock, reboot the day, or trade this life for another. But you can, right now, choose with the awareness that the next minute already echoes into next year. Alive as one who understands that invisible math, align your decisions with the future you claim to desire, because while there is no reset button, there is also no limit to the beauty that consistent, courageous, consequence-honoring choices can create. Somewhere inside you is an ability that feels effortless while it astonishes others. It may be the way numbers sing in your mind, the way colors form stories on canvas, the way you calm chaos with a single sentence. You call it talent, children call it magic, friends call it a lucky break. But none of those labels reach the truth, because a gift is not a toy, not a party trick, not a spotlight begging to be switched on whenever you crave applause. A gift is a key designed to fit a lock that still imprisons someone else. It is a remedy searching for the wound it was fashioned to heal. The tragedy of our age is not the scarcity of talent, but the surplus of talent wasted on self-promotion. Social media teases us to curate brilliance into bite-sized exhibitions, to harvest likes as proof of value, to reduce sacred ability into digital confetti that drifts away the moment novelty fades. The applause feels intoxicating, yet leaves you hungry because your soul knows the truth. Applause rewards performance, but purpose rewards obedience. When you settle for entertainment, you trade eternal impact for temporary attention. You become a vendor of moments instead of an architect of change. Every genuine gift carries a gravitational pull towards service. Consider fire marvelous to watch, but its true glory lies in the warmth it spreads and the meals it cooks. Consider rivers, shimmering on the surface, yet their power is measured by how many fields they irrigate and how many cities they sustain. Your gift was wired with the same infrastructure. When you divert it inward, only to decorate your ego, it stagnates like water in a sealed jar. But release it outward, and it finds its current, carving valleys, quenching deserts, nurturing life you may never see in person. You might protest, but I worked for this. I practiced. I bled. Isn't it mine to enjoy? By all means, enjoy it. Fruit is sweet because the tree is healthy. But never confuse enjoyment with ownership. You are a steward, not a proprietor, and stewardship always asks, who benefits because I exist? A farmer who stores every seed in his barn may feel rich at first, yet spring will expose his poverty when nothing green pushes through the soil. Likewise, you can hoard brilliance, but the season will come when meaning outranks money and usefulness outruns fame. In that hour, only what you sowed into others will stand between you and emptiness. Impact does not always announce itself with headlines. Sometimes it whispers through a child who discovers her own courage because you performed without fear. Sometimes it rides on day you analyzed that will guide a surgeon's hand, or in a melody that holds a grieving heart long enough to sleep. You may never read the testimonial, but heaven counts what history overlooks. The reach of a gift surrendered to purpose cannot be measured in followers. It is etched in futures improved, in injustices corrected, in invisible chains dissolved. Yet there is also a sobering side. Unused gifts atrophy. Muscles unexercised shrink, strings untuned slacken, instruments unplayed collect dust that muffles resonance. The dormancy is not punishment, it is design. Power dormant too long becomes liability, because what you refuse to use for good finds ways to leak out sideways. In pride, in cynicism, in restless ambition. The critic shouting on the sidelines is often a frustrated artist who quit the canvas. The gossip tearing down visionaries is frequently a strategist who buried her own ideas. The safest place for your gift is not in storage but in circulation. So how do you pivot from entertainment to impact? Begin by asking, what problem does my ability naturally solve? Trace the moments people light up around you, the scenarios where your presence feels like missing circuitry snapping into place. Listen to the compliments that embarrass you because they feel obvious. You make complex things simple. You turn strangers into family. Your questions open locked doors in my mind. Embedded in those sentences is your assignment. Once identified, invest skill in that direction with the seriousness of a surgeon sharpening instruments. Excellence dignifies purpose, sloppiness insults it. Next, build platforms, not pedestals. A pedestal lifts one person for admiration. A platform elevates many so they can act. If you sing, mentor new voices. If you code, create tools that empower others to create. If you lead, design ladders, not ceilings. The highest compliment to your gift is the multiplication of it in others. A flame that lights another candle does not diminish, it doubles. Finally, measure success by transformation, not by attention. Did the room think differently after you spoke? Did someone's burden lighten after you served? Did confusion become clarity because you intervened? Keep that ledger, and your motivation will stay pure even when crowds shrink, algorithms shift, or critics howl. One day the noise will fade and only legacy will remain. On that day, may the sum of your influence reveal that your gift traveled far beyond the stage lights, that it threaded its way into policies, inventions, reconciliations, and rescued dreams. May the echoes testify you treated your gift as sacred currency, spent lavishly for the good of others, convinced that impact, not entertainment, was the reason it was placed in your hands. One day, whether you grant it permission or not, the clock will complete its quiet circle, and the breath you borrow will be requested back. No negotiation, no extension, no appeal. The calendar will stamp a final date beside your name, and your physical presence will slip from rooms you once filled. But long after the heartbeat ceases, something invisible will keep walking the corridors of history wearing your fingerprints. That something is legacy, proof that a life, though finite in years, can be infinite in effect. Mortality is compulsory, significance is chosen. Many people fear death because they only measure living by duration. They calculate value by birthdays celebrated, wealth accumulated, selfies archived. So the thought of an ending feels like deletion. But death never deletes, it merely reveals. When the noise stops, what remains audible is the echo of what you built, blessed or broke. The question therefore is not, how long will I live, but what will live on because I lived. Legacy is not about extending your name, it is about extending your impact. Names fade on tombstones, influence endures in transformed lives. Consider a candle in a dark room. Its flame is modest, yet every surface it touches borrows light and becomes a messenger of radiance. Blow out the candle and the wax cools, but the room is not as dark as before. Residual glow lingers in memory and in the eyes that adjusted to see. Your life is that flame. Legacy is the residual glow. It exists wherever courage you sparked still burns in someone else, wherever wisdom you shared still guides a choice, wherever kindness you sowed still whispers possibility to a weary soul. The tragedy is not dying, it is dying unexpressed. It is leaving the factory with unused inventory, encouragements never voiced, solutions never prototyped, books never written, forgiveness never offered. An unopened gift does not bless the world, it burdens it with potential never realized. Each day you procrastinate purpose, you withdraw inheritance from the future. Imagine a garden starved because the gardener hoarded seed in fear of failing harvest. The earth remains barren not for lack of fertility, but for lack of generosity. So too, the soil of society waits for the seeds only you possess. Legacy is crafted in small, consistent deposits, not in grand, occasional gestures. The heroism of a parent reading bedtime stories after exhausting shifts. The integrity of an entrepreneur paying fair wages when cutting corners would pad profits. The humility of a leader admitting error so a team can learn. These are subtle chisels shaping monuments of trust and honor. You need not command stadiums to engrave history, you simply need to steward the moment within reach. Brick by unnoticed brick, character stacks into reputation and reputation into legacy. Fame shouts for a season, character whispers for generations. Do not underestimate silence as a medium of legacy. The words you refuse to speak, gossip unsaid, cynicism unvoiced, can protect someone's dream from premature burial. Restraint is an invisible shield whose beneficiaries may never know your name, yet their flourishing testifies to your discipline. In the ledger of eternity, unseen sacrifices often weigh more than celebrated exploits. Legacy measures substance, not spectacle. Some argue, why should I care what happens after I'm gone? Care because indifference is still a legacy, a contagious resignation that multiplies through the lives you touch. Every apathy you model grants permission for apathy in others. Conversely, every spark of purpose you demonstrate grants permission for daring. You may not control who watches, but you control what they witness. Your example is curriculum for bystanders designing their own futures. Legacy is also stewardship of time. Moments are seeds with expiration dates. Plant them, and they grow. Pocket them, and they rot. When you invest a minute listening deeply to a child, that minute compounds into confidence she will carry into classrooms and courtrooms you will never enter. When you invest an hour mentoring a confused apprentice, that hour compounds into innovations you will never patent but will benefit from anonymously. Time, when gifted, becomes legacy's capital. Do not fear scarce resources, fear scarce vision. History's giants often began with little more than conviction and compassion. Resources chase relevance. Once your vision locks onto a need bigger than ego, allies and assets recognize the resonance and migrate to join. Provision follows purpose, way rivers follow gravity. But legacy refuses to procrastinate waiting for perfect conditions. It starts with what is in hand and trusts multiplication to the law of sowing. There will be a final chapter, but legacy writes the epilogue. It edits the narrative others will read to locate courage in their chapter titles. Today you hold the pen, write sentences worthy of rereading, live decisions that quote themselves in future speeches and lullabies. Because when the dust settles on achievements and the applause dissolves into ordinary air, only two witnesses stand, the person you became and the difference you made. Ensure both are worth remembering, for they are the only parts of you that will not die. So now you've heard the truth. Life is not a game. There are no extra lives to gamble with, no reset button to undo the damage, no scoreboard that can measure your true worth. You were not born to compete, you were born to complete. You were not sent here to impress the world, but to impact it. Your purpose is not entertainment, it is a sacred responsibility. And while your breath will one day stop, your legacy will keep speaking long after your voice is gone. This life you hold, this one fragile, powerful life, is not a dress rehearsal. It is the stage, the only stage you will ever get. So stop wasting time pretending you have more of it. Stop playing small to fit into someone else's idea of success. Stop running someone else's race while your own destiny waits in silence. Choose to live on purpose. Choose to take your gift seriously. Choose to act like what you do matters because it does. The world doesn't need another player. It needs people who build, people who heal, people who lead with conviction, and live like legacy is on the line because it is. Don't just live to be remembered. Live to make the world different because you were here. Thank you.